sure I have, watch yourself for a second, make sure the door's not closed yet. All right, come on in. You guys can take I had a field trip last night, so I didn't have a chance to really sweep too well, but.
You sweep out every day?
Yeah. I mean, my kids are pretty good about garbage, but there's always grass and stuff. All right, so we're going to start outside, Hunter.
Okay.
So we got to inspect the engine. Well, we have to inspect everything, basically, but what we're checking for is basically everything's the way it should be. We're checking our fluids, so that's our coolant, making sure that all the wires are good. It's kind of strange when you do it for so long. You're thinking in your head, you know what everything's going to look like, and then you really notice when something is not the way it's supposed to be. It becomes habit. So we're checking the oil. We make sure that we have enough oil. This is our transmission fluid. We don't normally check this every day. We're supposed to check it when it's hot, because that really tells us what it is. But usually if you see liquid dripping from it, then you got plenty. My bus just had a checkup, so I know I have plenty unless I had a leak. So we're checking the tires, making sure they're not flat. Come around here, checking for any kind of fluids or anything on the ground, which is kind of hard to tell because it's a big puddle. And we'll check this side too. Just making sure everything's the way it should be. My engine's always dirty because I go through mud every day. Okay, everything looks good there. All right. When we're first learning, it's funny because they're like, whatever, and it feels like the quickest 20 minutes of your life. You're like, oh, did you get that?
Yeah.
But now when you're used to it, it doesn't take more than 10 minutes. All right, so we're gonna start about. Have to check. I'll close that door.
Yeah, you go in here and get out of the way. You don't need that.
All right, so nothing on our dashes. So we're gonna check our lights, check our high beams, check our turn signals. We're gonna run our engine through its, make sure that the reverse is, you hear that beep? That's their safety. We're gonna check, make sure the car doesn't go anywhere when you drive, when it's in the park position. So now we have to do an air check on our brakes. So what we do is we push the parking brake in, we let it roll. And then you're going to press the brake pedal until all the air is out, until the alarm goes off.
That's what that noise is. I always wondered
Yeah.
what that noise was.
Yeah. And so now at the same time I'm going to check my...
the warning lights come on with the low air pressure?
No, well, yeah, it beeps, but I'm actually checking right now the lights, the amber lights we call them, and then the reds. Making sure that I always just check in the bus in front of me, so that those are working. We turn on our hazard lights. I'm going to go check the back of the bus. Make sure that our yellow lights are working in the back of the bus. So, and then at this time we check all our seats to make sure there's nothing loose.
Do you know there's a lamp check? Do you use the lamp check?
I don't use it. I'm like old-fashioned.
Old-fashioned?
So we'll open the back door, check and make sure the lights are working. They were. Technically, we're supposed to be checking our alarms on our windows, so we make sure those go off. Oh, that one go off.
Uh-oh.
Huh. That's something that we'll need to check into.
So do you have to write that up, or is that so important?
What we do is we write it up. We now have a computer program that will write it up saying that alarm's not working. So now we're gonna go back outside. Make sure that our reds go on with the door open. We're gonna check to make sure all of our lights are working. The reds, the running lights, make sure the lights that run along the bus. Make sure our hazards are going and both our lights are good up here. Come around to the side, check down the side of the bus, make sure those lights are working. Make sure that there's nothing wonky in here, fuse-wise. Check the battery box. Make sure that the things are still intact and not floating around. Now we have to check under the bus. We're checking for leaks once the bus is on. And then we're going to check all the underneath stuff to make sure nothing is hanging down or loose. Everything looks good there. Checking this tire, making sure that none of the bolts are loose. Checking in here for, make sure everything's secure back there. Make sure we don't have any flats. No flats. Gonna come back here, check all the lights. Does everything look good, do you think?
Uh-huh.
All the reds, all the running lights, my flashers. We can't check our brake lights unless somebody helps us because they have to stand back and tell us if these turn right or the brake lights work, but we do that every now and then. Gotta make sure this door opens from the outside. Checking to make sure there's nothing under the seats, like raccoons and stuff. Check under the bus back here. Come around to the side. Checking our lights again. We have to check this is where our fuel goes. Make sure that everything's tight there. Not open. Check this tire. The same thing that we did on the other side. Checking our mud flaps. Make sure they're. I lost a mud flap one year.
Oh, did you?
One of those big mud flaps fell off my bus. I think that was actually. Somebody was like, "Oh, I think you lost your mud flap." I was like, "Where?" And so this is our DEF. I think that it helps with to make our fuel more efficient. I don't know exactly what DEF stands for, but that's another fluid that we have to put in our buses. And that will be it.
Okay. Are we supposed to do a radio check?
We can.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
All right, so you're gonna take this.
Uh-huh.
Oops. Press in, wait till it beeps 3 times, and then say 131 for a radio check, please.
131 radio check.
You're loud and clear.
10-4, thank you.
Good job, good job.
You've done this before. That's funny. That's funny.
And we have to write down our mileage.
Every day?
Every day we have a sheet that, on the back it says all the stuff that we're supposed to be checking. So when we sign this, that means that we've checked all the stuff that we're supposed to be checking. So we put our mileage down, and the mileage is up here, so 288.29. And then I just initial it. And we are ready to go. I don't leave here till 6:50 usually, but we can go a little early.
Okay.
Your
My
keys are.
I don't have an extra, which is really sad.
I don't have an extra for mine either.
It's this may be a lesson.
Get an extra key.
Yeah. So when we back up, we always honk our horn so that people know that we're backing up. People backing up always have the right of way, so if somebody's behind me, they're supposed to stop. Usually I'm pretty much in the clear since I'm way back here, but
Just have to worry about me and my van drivers and us scooting back through here. And
Do you pick up your van from here?
Yeah.
Oh. So do you know Jana Marsh?
Yes.
Yeah, she's I've known her forever. Her and my son are in the same grade, and her son and my son were like frenemies. They always got into it, and then they'd be friends, and then
something would happen.
Something would happen, and they wouldn't be friends anymore. And now I don't even think he goes to Dublin anymore.
Yeah, is she still in the district?
No, I don't know what she's doing now. I know she had a lot of, I think she had to have surgeries or something.
Yeah, some health issues. I do know.
Yeah.
I do know that.
And so I think that's why she quit.
Yeah, she's good friends. My wife teaches in the district. She's Jana's good friends with one of my wife's best friends.
And how long have you been doing this?
Only since, been a little bit more than 2 years now. Since January 2020, I started here. But I coached in the district for years, and so I've been around. But yeah, I have only been in my wife's been in the district for 20 something years.
Where does she work?
She's at Indian Run.
Oh, okay.
4th grade.
So on rainy days like this, the whole bus gets fogged up. And there's a trick that that we use to keep our windows from fogging up. You can tell that we have a defrost, but it doesn't always help. And so the trick we use is to face our fans to the window. And it's very helpful. And to keep some windows cracked, that also helps with keeping them defrosted or whatever you call it.
Defogged or whatever.
Defogged.
So how many stops do you have this morning? How many? For your high school?
For my high school, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
11 stops. I have more stops on my route sheet, but half the people on the route sheet, no, way more than half don't ride.
Okay.
So I have an overload amount on my route sheet, but I only have like 22 kids or something like that. Have you ever seen a route sheet before, Hunter?
Yeah, we just saw one in Mr. Bryan's office. That is actually your route.
Oh, okay. So you can see how many people are actually, I mean, there's so many students in the high schools on the list, but so many of them drive or get rides or whatever.
So how many years have you been on this route?
2 years on this route.
Okay.
2 or 3? 2, I think. The first year was the year. Was that the year we all of a sudden abruptly got?
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. 2021. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I had started in January 2020.
Okay.
We were done by March.
Yeah, maybe it was that year. I know I bid for this route early in the year I started it. So. get in the afternoon. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even close to being done, and they're like, I see them driving away in their car. I'm like, then I'm thinking, I could get back so much quicker, but then I'm like, well, that's all right. What's 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, right.
Nobody's usually waiting for me at home anyway, So, Hunter, you have any questions?
I'm trying to think. Not really.
Okay. Well, if you think of something, let me know.
Okay. I do have one. Are you supposed to do your child check after you drop off your students in the morning, or do you just keep going?
I do my child check after. We have to do it after every route. So when I get to Jerome, I pull over, and since my first middle school stop is pretty far away from Jerome, I check my bus before I leave Jerome, so that if anybody left anything or anything like that, then I would be able to just run right in and take them into the office, or obviously if there was a sleeping child or something like that. But high schoolers are pretty good about getting out of the bus.
Because I'll see you sometimes with your hazards on when I used to ride the bus.
Yep. I check. The only time I don't really check is after the elementary school right away, because I drive on country roads, and there really isn't a good place to stop that's close. But I live basically where my elementary school route is, so if anybody left anything on the bus, I would be able to take it to them or whatever. Are you all warm enough?
Yeah, good.
Okay. This is a weird temperature type of, you don't want to.
You want it too warm, but it's not.
Yeah. This bus is better than the old buses though, Hunter, because the old buses only had three vents. So they had one for the driver, one for the door, and then one in the back, only one in the back. So
Was that 98?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so to get the whole bus warm, the poor people in the back were like dying,
Yeah.
And I felt so bad, but people in the middle were like, I'm freezing.
Yeah, I remember when I rode 127, that's an 07. And I remember I found the heater and I'd sit right in front of it every morning during the winter. It was always so cold.
Yeah. And my poor bus 98 it had a heater problem for years before I even realized it. I sub-rode my bus.
Wow.
Drove my bus and was like, heat wasn't working. I wrote it up and I'm like, oh. And then when I got on the bus the next time, I was like, oh my gosh. I used to wear heated gloves, heated socks, the whole ride, not realizing that my heat was not working correctly. And I can imagine how cold the students were.
Yeah. I think they're going to get rid of 98 at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's probably time to retire that guy.
What bus did you have before that, or was that your first bus?
No, that was, I had 38 first, I had 72 first, then 38, then 48, then 98, and then I got moved to
I think
140, I think.
Was it 140?
And then I went to 153, and then now this one. So this is a new bus. This is like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful.
You must have had the old 38 and old 48, right?
Yeah, I had an old 48.
And the old 72?
Yeah, I'm sure. That was like my first.
I had 72 once
Did
as a
you?
student. But it was like 2014. I can't remember what the guy's name was. He was a real nice guy.
Did you have Mr. Mike?
Maybe. That might have been his
He
name.
had a mustache.
I think so.
My kids had him, and when I first started, he had to have surgery on his back or something, or he was having neck problems. So I was like a permanent sub on that bus, my kids' bus. At that time, they liked it. Now they probably wouldn't.
Don't talk to me. I'm not talking. I'm here. When I'm at Jerome, where I spend some time at Cobb, when I'm at Coffin, when I see my kids, one of them's chatty and talking. The younger one, she will ignore me the whole time.
Yeah, this is my first year where my son, like, he's a junior. Like, he had a performance, and I saw him. I was like, "Hi!" And I, going in to give him a hug, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And look at you, and he was like, "Mom, no." I was like, "What?" Like, how dare you? So they encourage us to come early. They always say you're never in a rush. As long if you start your first stop time on time, then whatever happens after that is okay. You can make it delayed for some reason, or whatever. But as long as you start on time, then you're doing the best you can. Clock is wonky. It always falls behind. So I double check on my cell phone to make sure that I'm starting on time. It slowly gets slower and slower.
Weird.
So my first stop is at 7:04. But is today Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay, so
73 to base.
Today, since it's Wacky Wednesday, we call it Wacky Wednesday. I have fewer kids. But you never want to start early because, some kiddos get there right when they're supposed to get there, and if
you're there early, then
then that is my fault. Well, they're really supposed to be at the bus stop 5 minutes earlier. Sometimes this is not my first stop, but sometimes there's a boy who comes early. He likes to get on the bus first for some reason, even though I wouldn't pick him up for another 7 minutes. But that is his bus stop, so. In general, we're not supposed to pick people up anywhere. They have to be at their stop. So this would be a stop for me, but there's nobody that rides there. I do have students here for the most part. But we'll see if they're here today.
Yes, ma'am.
And as you can see, it's very hard to see because these windows are tinted. So sometimes I just open the door to make sure there's nobody coming.
I'm guessing you won't have many students today because it's working Wednesday.
Usually I have somebody here, and then I have 2 8th graders that ride. And they're always on, but they're in DC this week.
Oh, it's right. They started that back up.
Yeah. Lucky them.
Yeah. Mine was the last one, then COVID hit.
Oh,
so.
really?
Yeah.
it's funny because my now freshman, she couldn't go. We never get anything.
Yeah.
Aw.
Sorry, kid.
This is usually where my 8th grader is. She's not here. But now I have to slow down, obviously, because
No, you're ahead of schedule.
I'm not stopping.
Right.
So I just got to make sure that I'm not too early.
How long did it take you to learn the route? Like, so you're not looking at your sheet? Because that would...
It usually takes me, especially when I have so many stops, like in high school, it took me the first week to feel comfortable with not having my sheet like there. And I go in Shawnee Hills for my elementary, and there's so many little streets there too, so
Yes.
it took me a little while to remember. Usually it's a lot busier. And I just pull over here, double check everything.
Do you turn the bus off and let the alarm go, or
Yeah, I
do you
turn
mind
it
if
off.
I do it? The child check?
Sure. So you have to check the seats, make sure nobody left anything.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
At the middle school and elementary, the kids get the button for me. But I still go back and check the bus, even if they've done the button. I still go back and always check the bus.
You ever find any kids back there sleeping, or?
Yep. I had one kid before, like a couple years ago. I had a route that I wouldn't check my bus at the school. I would pull over at my, what they call our layover area. Now I'm taking you back to the compound, right?
Yes.
And as I'm driving down to school, this kid pops up and goes, "I'm still on the bus."
Yes, you are.
And I laughed so hard. I almost couldn't drive the bus anymore. Oh, they got the cop here today, yeah. I'm always thrilled when they have police officers in the school zone.
Wednesdays aren't bad. The other days, I get over here, like, what time is it now? 7:30 now?
Yeah.
In about 10 minutes. 15 minutes. It's so busy through here. All these, it's so frustrating. I gotta come pick up. I start my day here at Jerome picking up in
Yeah.
the morning, and oh.
It can be bad,
Yes.
that's for sure. And so many students speed so badly,
Yes. Yes.
It's just so dangerous.
84 to 124.
Not me. I'm responsible.
Good. And not just students.
Oh no, it's
People in general are just flying through here. I watched this news program about why it's so important to go slowly in a school zone. They were doing statistics on how much damage you can do to a person if you hit them at 20 miles an hour as opposed to 35 miles an hour,
sure.
40 miles an hour. And, it's a drastic difference in your reaction time and all of that. And, the cops were stopping people and they were asking them why were you speeding through the school zone? And nobody had a good reason.
definitely dangerous.
Yeah.
sit on the corner, because I live on Franklin Street, so in Old Dublin.
In Old Dublin? Okay.
And people use it as a cut through in the morning, and I'm flying down a road, I'm thinking, maybe my kids are standing by the corner waiting for the bus, I'm thinking, slow down.
Yeah. It's scary. And I'm so fortunate too, like I'm very lucky that I don't have many people running my red lights. It happens occasionally around my area where I am, but like I said, most of my roads are so small that
Right.
cars can't fit past me for one a lot of times, and people aren't going that fast. But I've had people run my red lights, like they're coming this way, and they'll realize it after they've passed the bus, and then they'll stop. Like,
Oops.
it doesn't matter now, you're
Right.
past the bus. And just the other day, I had a driver, I was on a really fast road. I stopped on Dublin Road where people can go like 45, 50.
Right.
And there was like a line of maybe 4 or 5 cars behind me. And I started up, and I usually do a turnaround as my last stop of the day in this area that has, it's a storage area. So
Okay.
sometimes I'll turn around there. So I start driving, and I go to make my left turn, and I look in my mirror, and he's passing like
All
three
the cars
cars
behind you,
and was in the lane, and I literally was like almost staring at him in the face as he's he was trying to pass me and like 3 other cars,
ridiculous.
and everybody was like I was like, that was, the bus always wins.
Right.
Whoops. In no scenario are you going to be the one less damaged. So what do you think would be the most challenging part of driving a bus?
Probably getting up in the morning and having to deal with the snow, the weather.
Yes, that can be challenging.
But I also think it can probably be easier to drive in the snow than a car because how much heavier this is.
Yes, that does help. Although I have slid many, many times in the bus, which really surprised me. I was thinking, we're so heavy, there's no way we could slid.
Yeah.
And when it's that icy stuff, it really doesn't matter. You just have to be like, crawl. That's a challenging thing. Plus, when that one year when it got down to like negative temperatures,
Yeah.
like negative 10, and that's freezing. Lucky enough, they have a cold start team, is what they call it, and it's a group of people who sign up and come in early and start the buses, so that when you get here, your bus is usually really warm.
That's nice. I always wondered how that would work. I always thought there was, I envisioned one person going around starting 100 vans or 100 buses, but
I think there's probably, I don't know how many. Less than 10, I think. But that is one thing I've never signed up for, and I don't think I ever will. No desire to
time, I remember coming. Our vans were started, and I mean, I'm like,
Oh,
all
really?
right.
That's
Well, thank
nice.
you. Yeah.
I didn't know they did that. Well, I appreciate you driving with me. I feel lucky that I got to do it.
Thank you for doing this for me.
You're welcome.
Definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Why don't you tell me you weren't recording me this whole time?
I can
All my
get
jibber
bits out.
jabbering. Yeah, edit it all out, okay? All right, were you parked?
We're parked out front, so you can drop here. I'll walk them through the
Okay.
building.
Sounds good.
And I can go get my car and drive around and get my van.
All right.
Yeah.